What's up YouTube? My name is TheLazyTryhard, and today we are going to be continuing our libgdx tutorial series. And today we're going to be continuing our quest through the tiled map engine thing. So today what I thought we'd cover is another way to kind of differentiate between different tiles. So in the last video we were able to differentiate between the terrain and the trees, which is awesome. But what do we do if we want to differentiate between the different type of tiles within the layer? Well, that's where this idea of properties comes in. So that's what we're going to be covering today. So again, if you're in this, you need to be in this tiled part or tiled program for the first half, and then we're going to go into the coding. And by first half, I mean like 5 seconds. I'm just going to add some lines. So if you go in your tile set, you're going to go over to the tree where we planted these trees, and you're going to right click it, and you're going to see the tile properties. You're going to click tile properties, and you're going to add a new property. Now you can just click on that, and it should work. And to differentiate between the two, we're just going to say this tree is green, because I mean it's green. And this tree is gray, so you got to find the gray tree in your tile set, and tile properties, we're just going to say gray. So that's all we're actually going to do. I know, crazy, right? But that's really all you need to be able to differentiate between these two. And you can add multiple properties. It doesn't really matter, but for this, we're just going to use one property because, again, we only have two types of trees. If you wanted more trees, you can do that. But now you're going to come into your libgdx project, and we're going to do some magic. So what you're going to do is you're going to get rid of this code. I know, crazy. We're going to rewrite some of it, but you have this loop, and what this loop does is it leaps through all the bounds and basically all the rectangles that we made in the last video, and it detects if there's collision. Well, we're going to use the rectangles to kind of find out what tile that we that we're on. So you're going to want to do the int an x and int a y. Now these x and y values are going to be the cells, the coordinates of the cell. So again, I've explained this before, but I'm going to explain it again. When you make a tile layer, you have 20 by 20 tiles. So you have to be able to find the tile at 0, 0. Well, that's kind of hard if our rectangles are operating under this assumption of like pixels. So if we want a tile at 0, 1, in the real world, that's going to be a 64 or 0, 64 value. So basically, we have to kind of flip that because these tiles don't operate in pixels. They operate in tile width and height, so like zeros and ones. So basically, all we have to do is divide the rectangle by 0. So I'm going to explain that one more time because that's kind of complicated in Paint. So we have this beautiful tile map with a bunch of squares in it, right? Well, each of these squares is 64 pixels apart. So this tile is 0, 0. That'd be 0, 0 on here. And it would also be at the coordinate 0, 0. But this tile would be, that'd be 0, 1. But in the pixel world, in the world that we draw things in, it would be 64. Or it'd be 0, 64. So we need to change that. We need to divide basically this 64 by 64 so we can get this coordinate and we don't get a null pointer, which is the biggest problem that you get when you're doing this. So we use the rectangles that we created to emulate these tiles. So we're going to get the bounds.getI. We're going to get that bounds, and we're going to get the x of it. And we're going to divide it by 64. So that's the location of the x. So we also have to cast that into an int. Don't worry about that. Then that should clear it up. And we're going to do the same for the y. So bounds.getI.y divided by 64. So now that we have that x and y, we can actually use that to get the tile that we want to change, or the tile that we want to basically get the properties for. So Next, we're actually going to take this line of code that we use right here. Actually, we're going to take both of them because we want to make a cell. So to do that, we have to get the layer. So we get the layer, the terrain layer, or excuse me, the foliage layer, and then we're going to make a new cell. And we're going to cast that cell, or we're going to set the coordinates of that cell to the tile layer. So we're not going to initialize it to a new cell. We're going to do the following. We're going to do cur.getCell at xy. We've already put the coordinates of xy, so that's awesome. So that's that. So now that we have the cell, we can do the following. If cell.getTile.getProperties, so we're getting the tile and we're getting the properties of that tile. So if we land on a tree or on a green tree, it's going to hopefully return green. So if cell.getTile.getProperties contains key green, then that's what we want to do. So this line of code just basically tells us whether or not it's a true or false if the tile has the property green. And we're just going to say system.out.println green. So, assuming that all worked properly, which if you're seeing this video, that means it did. If we do that, oh, whoa, cool. So now when we land on the tree, it returns green because that has the property green. And on the other hand, it doesn't. Nothing happens here because we're on a gray tree. So if we want to detect for that, we just do the same thing. Cell.getTile.getProperties.contains key, and we do gray. And you have to be completely sure that this lines up with the properties that you've established in your tiled map, or it's not going to work, and you're going to be like, what the frick? Why isn't this working? So I'm going to do system.out.println gray. So this is really helpful. I know it doesn't seem like it's helpful because we're not really using it in the best way, but I just need to show you guys the concept. It's a really good way of differentiating between the different types of tiles, but if you want those tiles to have like the same properties, so see, gray, awesome, whoa, crazy. It's really helpful if you want to differentiate between certain tiles within a layer. You can now give them these properties, and you can use this method to actually, check whether or not the player or the person has landed on this specific tile. So just a quick video. Thank you so much for watching. Please rate, subscribe, comment if you enjoyed it, if this helped you at all, and I will see you guys in the next video.